Hey guys, this is Eckhart's Letter. Hello and welcome to another daily video. If this is your first time visiting the channel, you've chosen a very great time to do so because we've got a super fun video lined up for today. One of the most divisive, but dare I say it, interesting parts of Star Wars Legends was the Yuuzhan Vong invasion that occurred about 25 years after the Battle of Yavin. During this major story arc, extra galactic invaders came and basically kicked ass in the Star Wars galaxy until they were eventually defeated by the New Republic and a coalition of other factions. One of the most common debates among Star Wars Legends fans, including myself, is how the Galactic Empire would have fared had they been the ones to face the Yuuzhan Vong. This was also debated at times within the Star Wars universe, and in the book Destiny's Way, Imperial Dana Dorha says the following: "I can't help but wonder how the old empire would have handled the crisis. I hope you will forgive my partisan attitude, but it seems to me that the Emperor would have mobilized his entire armament at the first threat and dealt with the Yuuzhan Vong in an efficient and expeditious manner through the use of overwhelming force." Han Solo, who is the one that she's speaking to, says, "No, I don't think so. They probably would have just designed a bunch of dumb super weapons which wouldn't have actually worked." Both of these characters are clearly biased. One is an Imperial commander and one fought against the Empire as part of the rebellion. I'm going to today hopefully look at the issue from a bit less of a biased standpoint. I'm going to be imagining an alternate universe today, one where the Rebel Alliance actually lost at the Battle of Endor and the Empire remained the main government until the invasion. To keep things interesting, I'm going to say that the Empire did not substantially grow their fleet in the coming years, aside from any projects that we know that they were working on in Star Wars Legends, so things like the Eclipse, other super weapons, and other Imperial projects. Kind of like in yesterday's video where I looked at what would happen if the Flood invaded the galaxy, the way I'm going to try to determine this is not by looking at the Yuuzhan Vong, but by comparing the New Republic and the Galactic Empires as defenders of the galaxy. First, we're going to look at the negatives and the positives of it being the Galactic Empire rather than the New Republic vis-a-vis defending a Yuuzhan Vong invasion. After that, we're going to actually simulate the invasion and try to predict what would happen. So let's start now with the actual comparison, and we'll look first at the negatives. And another way to think about this is, what advantages did the New Republic have that the Galactic Empire does not have and that they cannot use when defending against the Yuuzhan Vong? Right off the bat, the very first negative is a pretty big one, and that's that the Empire will not have the use of a renewed Jedi Order. The Jedi were one of the, if not the, most important factions for the good guys during the Yuuzhan Vong War. Although the Vong did have counters for the Force and lightsabers, the Jedi were still incredibly effective, especially during one-on-one ground engagements, and this will be very difficult for the Empire to actually make up. I mean, certainly the Empire will have Palpatine Invader, along with some most likely minor Dark Jedi at their disposal, but there's really just no replacing the utility brought by the Jedi Order. Kind of ancillary to this point is the fact that the Empire would be losing out on many of the very important heroes during the war, and I'm thinking especially of Admiral Akbar, Wedge Antilles, Luke, Leia, the Solo children, and many, many more. Connected to the loss of these heroes is the fact that Sonoma Sakkad, which was the living homeworld of the Yuuzhan Vong, will most likely not enter the war. This is important because we know that Sonoma Sakkad actually brokered the peace which ended the Yuuzhan Vong War after the Battle of Yuuzhan Tar. In other words, even if the Yuuzhan Vong are likely defeated in this scenario, they'll still keep fighting. We do know that Sonoma Sakkad did have a unique connection with Anakin Skywalker, so perhaps Darth Vader himself could still get the planet's help. Alright, so I think that those are most of the negatives. Let's now check out the positives. So what does the Galactic Empire gain by being the Empire and not the New Republic? Probably the biggest gain here is that of Palpatine himself. He's almost an omnipotent ruler. He's extremely ruthless, extremely efficient, and he controls the Empire with little bureaucracy. I think Palpatine's ruthlessness during this conflict will be very important. One of the main reasons the Yuuzhan Vong War actually lasted as long as it did is because the New Republic allowed the extragalactic invaders to actually get a foothold within the galaxy. Borsk Falia, who was the Chancellor of the New Republic during the initial parts of the invasion, completely ignored the Yuuzhan Vong as they entered the galaxy and started attacking worlds. After this point, instead of attacking the Yuuzhan Vong with sheer force, they used hit-and-run tactics which the Alliance had used during the Galactic Civil War. This method of war was actually completely ineffective, and it allowed the Yuuzhan Vong to secure the core worlds of the galaxy. I think it's relatively safe to say that the Galactic Empire would not have underestimated the Vong, or certainly would not have ignored the Vong in the same way. Although it doesn't say so explicitly, the book Outbound Flight makes it very clear that Emperor Palpatine, or as he was at the time Chancellor Palpatine, had knowledge of the Yuuzhan Vong invaders. although in that book they're referred to as far outsiders. And one of the reasons for destroying the outbound flight was so they didn't provoke the galactic invaders before they were ready. Palpatine wanted to get parts of the galaxy prepared for the invasion. The Empire would have also most likely had Grand Admiral Thrawn on their side, and I think we know that Thrawn, being a Chiss, would not have taken the Yuuzhan Vong lightly whatsoever. One of the other bonuses for the Empire is that the great minds like Thrawn and Pelion would have had many expensive toys at their disposal. In the new Essential Guide to Weapons and Technology, there's a quote from Luke Skywalker saying just how useful the Galaxy Gun would have been during the Yuuzhan Vong crisis, and he's right, but it's not just the Galaxy Gun which would have helped. In this timeline, the Empire would have also had World Devastators, 2 Eclipse Super Star Destroyers, the Sun Crusher, probably the most overpowered superweapon in Star Wars Legends, the Death Star 2, and most likely 4 Sovereign-class Super Star Destroyers. And to be honest, those are just the projects that we know about and that the Empire managed to finish building while not actually in power. In reality, with almost 2 decades to fortify themselves, the Empire would have probably gone completely wild with their weapons of destruction, but I'm not going to actually speculate to that degree here. In addition, the Empire would have most likely had hundreds, if not thousands of dreadnoughts and thousands or tens of thousands of standard Star Destroyers. We also, of course, have the weapon of Palpatine himself, and I mentioned this in previous videos, but Palpatine was one of, if not the most powerful Force users in Star Wars Legends. I mean, he could single-handedly rip holes in space-time, destroying entire fleets, and if you want to see more of this, read the Dark Empire comic series. I think that kind of summarizes, in my mind, the key negatives and positives that would have came about had the Galactic Empire been in power during the Yuuzhan Vong invasion. Let us now look at the actual scenario and see how it plays out. So I'm just going to start off by saying that I think it's pretty clear that the Empire would have won the war, and I actually think that they would have done a spectacular job, much better than the New Republic did at least. In my mind, one of the main factors that caused the Yuuzhan Vong War to be so devastating was how poorly it was handled by the New Republic. That's not going to happen in this scenario, because we have Emperor Palpatine, who not only is pretty much psychic and completely ruthless, but also knows that the Vong is coming and is likely prepared for them. When the Yuuzhan Vong arrive in the galaxy, he's going to be ready and he's going to act. He's not going to let them get established, not going to let them start growing spaceships and warriors and whatever else. He's going to act immediately to attempt to wipe them out. Another related point is that the Empire does not care about civilians, and not only do they not care about them, but they will actively kill civilians if that's what's needed to win the war. I mean, look at the destruction of Alderaan. And I mean, the Empire certainly isn't going to have any problem doing so when we're talking about backwater, outer rim alien territory. We saw that during the war, the New Republic was able to develop a disease, Alpha Red, which would have absolutely devastated Yuuzhan Vong populations, but they didn't use it for ethical reasons. The Galactic Empire would have no such qualms. I also believe that the Galactic Empire would have been able to make up for the lack of Jedi and the lack of heroes by fighting in space. The New Republic was not able to dominate space, and even once a galactic coalition had been formed, the resources of the Imperial remnant were dwindled down by infighting, wars, whatever else. And I mean, this wasn't an accident. The Yuuzhan Vong very purposely timed their invasion, and not only that, but they sent covert agents like Nom Anor to help destabilize the Imperial remnant even further. Resources like Imperial Super Star Destroyers were almost invaluable during the war. I mean, just look how important ships like the Lusanka were, or how important dreadnoughts were in the defense of major planets like Mon Cala. By the time of the Galactic Invasion, even older ships like Imperial Star Destroyers were very important. That's just how divided the galaxy was, and how scant for resources and new ships the Republic was. Even if we assume that in the years between the Battle of Endor and the invasion that the Galactic Empire didn't add any new ships to their navy, they already outgunned the New Republic in my mind by quite a bit. When we add super weapons like the Death Star 2, the Galaxy Gun, the Sun Crusher, and really Emperor Palpatine himself, the Empire is going to absolutely dominate space, and in doing so, they'll make up for their loss of Jedi Knights. I mean, let's be clear, Yuuzhan Vong tech is good, and I mean things like Dovin basils and the miniature black holes they create are very impressive, but they can be overwhelmed by turbo laser fire. And funny enough, Imperial ships are also designed to have overwhelming firepower. This domination in space, when combined with a readiness that Emperor Palpatine would have brought to the table, a lack of inefficiency, and just generally a more proper response to the invasion, would, in my mind, easily secure victory for the Galactic Empire, and unlike in Legends, there wouldn't have been a truce. There would be no surviving Yuuzhan Vong. They would have been a mere blip, in my mind, in galactic history. In conclusion, I give this victory to the Empire, and I think that they fend off the Yuuzhan Vong invasion 9 times out of 10. The only chance I'm giving the Vong is if they can somehow adapt to the new strategies used by the Empire, avoid their super weapons, and take the battle to the ground. The Empire may struggle from a lack of Jedi Knights, but I think that would be out of character for the Vong, and I think that the Empire are going to take this one. However, that's just one man's opinion. Take a second right now and vote in the upper right hand corner. Let me know if you think the Empire would be able to successfully defeat the Yuuzhan Vong. Also, let me know down in the comments if I forgot something, if you think I may have got it wrong, or of course, if you think I did a good job, because that's always really nice to hear as well. If you made it this far, I do have a quick question of the day. Do you think that the Rakatan Infinite Empire, as it existed at the height of their power, would have been able to fend off the Yuuzhan Vong invasion? Why or why not? Anyway, as always, don't forget to also put your suggestion for future matchups down in the comment. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, guys. As always, may the Force be with you.